Hello and welcome to Pretty Spooky Presents Friday Night Feast and Fright, where every first Friday, unless it's a holiday, we match our meal to our monsters. Each month I plan a pretty spooky dinner and movie to enjoy at home in the Sunken Compass, my home tiki bar. I work out all of the details beforehand and I share my low carb on the high seas recipes in the description because
they're to die for.
This week's Friday Night Feast and Fright brings us to Crescent Cove, California, where we'll do some stargazing at the top of the world, and then we'll bring our champagne with us as we follow the streak of bright light into the woods. After almost unwillingly joining the circus, maybe we can get some free passes. We have definitely decided to skip the popcorn and cotton candy. Then we'll hightail it back to town to Crescent Cove Police Station to warn everyone, and we'll get a surprise pizza delivery. The night is still young, so we'll hijack an ice cream truck because this is way more serious than selling ice cream. There are clowns going around killing people. We're all in danger. And for dessert, we'll visit the boardwalk for some acid pies and pink drink. What are you gonna do with those pies, boys? Since these clowns are closing in on us fast, I better get started on the desserts because there's something peculiar going on here. Killer Klowns from Outer Space is ooey gooey sci-fi horror comedy goodness, full of all the artificial colors and dyes you've been warned about. It's a junk food feast for the eyes. And just like the Chiodo Brothers, who can't seem to sell any ice cream, Killer Klowns was a total flop. Very little publicity and poor critical reception caused it to be ranked as just another 80s B-movie. With nods to classic horror, especially the Blob and classic zombie movies, what's not to love? Over time, even the critics came around to recognize the brilliance created by Stephen, Charles, and Edward Chiodo, re-rating it with more stars as the film has attained cult classic status. The Chiodo Brothers wrote, directed, and produced the film while also creating the practical effects and makeup. Known for their fantastic stop animation films, inventive special effects, and skilled storyboarding, collectively the brothers have made their mark on well-known projects like Michael Jackson's Thriller video, the movie Elf, all four Critter movies, and Pee-wee's Big Adventure, The Simpsons, and Goosebumps TV series. They even had their hands on storyboarding for the action scenes of another one of Pretty Spooky Presents Friday Night Feast and Fright's The Lost Boys, where they storyboarded many of the action scenes for director Joel Schumacher. But Killer Klowns from Outer Space is the only project written or directed by any of the Chiodos so far. And while there has been talk of a 3D remake sequel called a requel by the brothers, and even a TV series where different episodes were centered around each character, there's been no new footage shot. So we'll happily rewatch the original again and again. Killer Klowns is just like that weird candy we were afraid to try, but now we're hooked and just can't get enough Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Okay, while the clowns are busy making shadow puppets, I'll get our low carb on the high seas pizza ready for its special delivery, or else Shorty might knock my block off. The Chiodo Brothers based all of the characters on childhood friends. There were real Chiodo Brothers that the Chiodo boys used to pal around with and get into mischief. There's a real Mike Tobacco, which they describe as quite the ladies' man. And the line, "We can't, it's rented," yelled by the Chiodo Brothers at the climax of the movie is actually an inside joke between the Chiodo Brothers, which makes it even funnier now. Even though Clownzilla Jojo is about to exact his wrath on the clown-clad ice cream truck, the brothers won't abandon it to save their own lives. Many of the vehicles in the film were rented and sustained damages costing thousands in repairs, including the car that was driven off the bridge. It was on a cable and was supposed to only almost roll off the bridge, but the cable snapped and it took a nosedive. I've watched behind-the-scenes footage in which you can hear one of the brothers exclaiming that the cable broke with dismay in his voice. And it shows another brother who decides to make the most of it, running over to light a fire from the spilling gasoline for a more dramatic effect. No one would know that that scene was actually a blooper. This exemplifies the comedic genius of the Chiodo trio. The real Mike Tobacco and Chiodo Brothers must have had a ton of fun growing up with the Chiodo boys. It seems that the clowns have just finished their parade and are on the way to the boardwalk. Yes, that same boardwalk from the last Friday night feast and fright. But time is ticking, so we better get a move on if we want to have our own pink drinks before Clownzilla arrives. This cocktail has the crazy flavors of popcorn and cotton candy all in one sip. For the pink drink, we'll start with 3/4 ounce pomegranate liqueur, 3/4 ounce Ray & Nephew white overproof rum, 3/4 ounce Croujon blackstrap rum, 1 ounce heavy cream, 4 dashes of a 1-to-4 saline solution, 1/8 ounce vanilla extract, shake with cracked ice because you want plenty of dilution here, strain and funnel into an emptied classic glass Orangina soda bottle outfitted with yellow striped tops and a curly straw or two. Now that the feast is prepared, I better go get ready. I'm going with a Shorty-Inspired look tonight, but vintage glam, of course. I've picked out my brightest yellow vintage dress from the 60s with a yellow cardigan and fun red and blue shoes. I've reinterpreted Shorty's red and blue clown collar as a polka dot scarf, and well, I've already got green hair, so I've just got some Shorty-Inspired makeup touch-ups to do while I gush over the costumes. After my last 2 Friday night feast and frights, I guess you can gather that I'm a sucker for a man in foam latex. For the creature from the Black Lagoon, Ben Chapman and Riku Browning had to wear foam latex from head to toe and accomplished physical feats many couldn't do in their regular gym clothes. And the Lost Boys vampires wore foam latex prosthetics that were streamlined and sleek so the actors who were chosen for their looks, as well as their talent, could still be seen and could fully emote. You'd never know it, but for the Killer Klowns from outer space, there were only 4 molds used for all of the clown heads, with the exception of Clownzilla, who is played by Charles Chiodo. The paint and costuming is what made each clown look so different, and the clown heads were repainted and used again as trolls in Ernest Scared Stupid, which I have not seen, but will at least fast forward just to see the clowns again. The Chiodo Brothers designed, sculpted, and molded the clowns over a cotton base, using everything from paper towels and layers of latex to create the visually stunning faces. Candace Westmore was the makeup artist that finished the clowns, giving them their individual looks. It was her uncle, Bud Westmore, who worked on the creature from the Black Lagoon. There were 2 heads made for each clown actor, one lighter static head used for wide shots and group scenes, and one with animatronics for close-up scenes that were controlled by puppeteers, which reminds me of a much more complex version of the air bladder gills used in the creature from the Black Lagoon. And while none of the clowns had names in the movie, the Chiodo Brothers have revealed that they did give the clowns names to differentiate them during filming. Shorty is one of the spunkiest little pranksters, which is why I decided to emulate Shorty for our feast. So there you have it. Pretty Spooky presents Friday Night Feast and Fright featuring Killer Klowns from outer space. If you try the recipes, let me know how it went in the comments. I'd love to know how these recipes and methods compare to others you've tried, and if you prefer yours to be low carb on the high seas now too. Plus, check back every first Friday for more Friday Night Feast and Fright.
We're dying to have you for dinner.
I loved being your haunted hostess. You were a wonderful guest. You're welcome back always. Farewell until next time. Cheers. Do you think it's over? Yeah, sure.